the full promise of economic freedom.
Sure that we secure the food security of every person, and there is no need to worry. We have taken measures to use all the available resources, and I want to thank the county government for their partnerships, and therefore His Excellency the President has directed that we meet within the next 1, maximum 2 days as the national disaster preparedness infrastructure of the country, which brings together the 2 levels of government and other stakeholders, and therefore in the next 24 hours we'll be issuing a comprehensive statement on the mitigation and response measures that we are taking to make sure that no Kenyan sleeps without food, and we have enough resources, and where there are gaps we will mobilize resources from our partners, and we are sure that we will have a good Christmas season, a new year, and we will go out of our way to make sure that every Kenyan has food on the table, even as we look at long-term solutions of this problem.
Wa Nairobi alikuwa ni Raila Amolo Odinga. Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, sisi kama watu wa Nairobi tunamenzi. Ndiye alikuwa mbunge ambaye amehudumu kwa muda mrefu, na hii kwa sisi sote ndio siku ya jamhuri ya kwanza bila baba wetu. Tunaomba ya kwamba Mungu azidi kumlaza pema, na ile ambayo tunaweza fanya ni kuiga mfano ambayo alituachia. Tunawakumbuka hawa mashujaa wetu na kuwaenzi ili kuhifadhi matendo yao na kuyapitisha kwa watoto wetu kwa ajili ya kesho. Pili, tunawakumbuka ili kuwaiga, tukijifunza kutoka kwa mafanikio yao na pia kwa makosa yao.
On the youth of this great nation to use their strength, creativity and energy to advocate for and live the value of respect, patriotism and fidelity to the rule of law, and hold persons in authority accountable for us to realize our dream of an ethical and prosperous Kenya. The price is high for all of us to be defeated.
These people have done this so many times. We have members of the public who have identified them. And thankfully to the members of the public, they shared this information with us. And we were able to identify this group. We are still in pursuit of the others. They are not safe yet. And we are sure we are going to get them very soon. Because it has been a persistent problem, we identified officers to task them to look into this.
To be employed on permanent and pensionable is not a walk in the park. Sio kitu ya kusema kwa chukua hapa confirm. When you confirm there is notice, what do you do? Watu watakula nini bila hii? So what we are telling you, and I want to speak from point of authority, is allow us to look for money in supplementary to ensure that when they are promoted, they get salary. And when they are converted to permanent and pensionable, they have something on their table.
We believe with your guidance and your presence in that education committee, you will do something for us. So we are saying as teachers, we shall come January, we shall not go back to class without teachers being confirmed.
Kuambia walimu wa JSS, Mheshimiwa Rais amesikia malilio yenu, amewasikia sana, na nataka kuhakikishia kwamba ametuambia kwamba tujipange, tuhakikishe kwamba in the next financial year tuweze kuweka budget ili watu wetu wa JSS walimu waweze kuwa confirmed.
We take this opportunity to warn members of the public to be on the lookout and to share information with us in case they suspect that what is being sold is not up to standard. It is incumbent upon any member of the public who is consuming any form of alcohol to make sure that whatever they consume does not impact negatively on their health. So we want them to take caution, we want them to be on the lookout, and we want them to share information with us should they come across anybody who's carrying out any unscrupulous business.
This week, Power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks, these are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters, the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts. This is Radio Generation, putting back the R in radio.
His Excellency the President has directed that we meet within the next 1, maximum 2 days as the national disaster preparedness infrastructure of the country, which brings together the 2 levels of government and other stakeholders, and therefore in the next 24 hours we'll be issuing a comprehensive statement on the mitigation and response measures that we are taking to make sure that no Kenyan sleeps without food.
The Commission documented 57 violations on the right to life. These include the killing of a human rights defender, one Richard Otieno in Molo. There was a question on the number of deaths in the by-election, and we've documented 3. So 2 of them were from Kasipul, Kabondo, during the by-elections, and then there was one there was a 70-year-old in a stampede in Kabuchai. So those are the 3 deaths that we've been able to document. 2 in Kasipul and 1 in Kabuchai.
The Commission monitored these by-elections, and they were kept out of 2 tallying centers, Chicago Primary School in Mbeere North and Mumboni Northward. They were kept out of those tallying centers, and therefore we cannot make a decision on whether the elections were free and fair because we were denied entry.
Kenya, we need to cooperate. We need to work together as critical players and actors who are given responsibility, whether you are an observer, whether you're in security, whether you're a political party, an independent candidate, whether you're in the media, you have a role. And therefore, that is the context within which we have invited you here today to share with you what we thought worked and what did not work, and therefore what can be done. That is because we as the new IBC, we are committed to ensuring that the democracy of Kenya is resilient and is strengthened. And therefore we remain committed to transparency, accountability, and upholding the sovereign will of the Kenyan people.
An increase in violation of regulatory requirement, particularly relating to illegal water abstraction and the failure to obtain or comply with the water use permit. You see, people are taking now this thing lightly, but the reality here is WRA is a regulator, and what we are implementing is an act of parliament and also an act of regulation 2025.
So what we are saying here as WRA, please let us be compliant. We have our permitting system in place. Remember, the water resource in this country is not enough, and even the rest of the world. If we don't take care of the resources that we have, we must conserve. We must conserve where we get our water. And as WRA, we also have operations and maintenance. For you to get that water, there must be some expenses that we incur. And we are simply asking Kenyans.
This study, as you are taken through, demonstrates how clean energy is not merely a climate issue, but a gender and equality issue affecting household health, safety, economic opportunities, and environmental justice.
One big barrier
to access to quality services is assistive devices for every person's ability.
See that we have wealth underground in our country, and then we continue to procrastinate. The way we've always been saying, we are so wealthy, yet so poor. So during our time, I want to assure the people of this country, we will unlock this space of mining. Kuja leo, if you have the capacity kuchimba 1 kilometer to find that resource huko chini, kuja leo, the government will support you. You just need to explain to us how you're going to do it, and you have the resources.
Sisi kama viongozi wa Kakamega, kwanza kabisa tunaunga mradi huu kwa sababu utakuja kufaidi watu wote wa Kakamega, wakiwemo pia wale ambao wanamiliki ardhi zetu. Na tumekubaliana ya kwamba mradi huu utafanikishwa kupitia kwa sheria ambayo iko, na pia tutakuwa tunawasiliana kila wakati kwa shughuli ya kuhakikisha kwamba mradi huu umefaidi wale wote ambao wanahusika, washikadau wote wakiwemo wenye mashamba, county government, serikali na pia
Introducing Patricia Waiua, and this is Generation Report, your weekly news roundup show on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts. This is Generation Report, your weekly news roundup show on Radio Generation. Previously on the most talked about morning show in town, the People's Breakfast.
But one thing I have to assure the public, the panel is not going to change the law.
I'm really proud. I mean, the KDF stands tall regionally and internationally, and that's why you have the favor that you see in terms of them being, in the forefront.
A time will come. Where is Saddam Hussein? Where is Libya, Gaddafi? Where is everybody?
The People's Breakfast, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. This is Generation Report, your weekly news roundup show on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat.
8 in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa, and even on our social media platforms, that is on X, that is on YouTube, and also on Facebook. You do so at Radio Gen KE. On our online platform also, you can be able to follow the happenings of the show tonight. That is at rgk.co.ke. Today being the 13th of December, mwaka umekimbia sana. Tunasema mwaka unaenda kimbi because January was just the other day. We are now talking of December, and actually the second week of December. So the year is ending. So a lot has really happened in the course of the year up to now. And for this week, of course, we know a lot of things have happened. This week alone, we are talking of Jamhuri Day celebrations. We are also talking about different organizations and agencies giving out their end-year reports. Yeah, we are talking of IEBC. We are talking of the Kenya Human Rights. Yes, all of them are giving out their reports because the year is ending. So we have a lot lined up for you for discussion tonight. And even we will be looking forward to engage you. That is through our social media platforms and even through our WhatsApp, so that now we can able to engage each other. Tonight I have three guests, three panelists here. Na wote nikiwaangalia they are up to the task. They are up to the task, and of course I believe that you're going to do a great thing tonight right here. So without wasting much of our time, we are going to look at the biggest highlights this week, and we are talking about there's something that happened this week. We know the president saying and promising that by 2027 the Nairobi River Regeneration Drive itakuwa imeaccomplish whatever is been pushing for. So we are talking of 15th of January 2027. This week also we saw the opposition coming out and rejecting the asset privatization plan. We saw the DAP leader Eugene Wamalwa together with Kalonzo Musyoka and the rest of the opposition also coming out to reject the same. We have several stories lined up for for you. We are looking at Tanzania this week. We saw still the fight against government repression to its citizens in Tanzania. We still see the fight still continuing, and we saw human rights defenders in our country coming out and supporting Tanzania. We are looking at UNEP appointing the issues of climate change. Something happened. We are also talking about the devolution in our country. Yes, a lot happened this week, and therefore we are going to look at all those stories. So without wasting much time, my name is Patricia Wayua. I am joined by one Lena Mati. There's Alfred Makoti, and we also have another guest. Let me see. Why am I forgetting the name?
Easier.
Samuel.
Matthew.
Yes, Matthew.
Yes.
Samuel. Yes, there's a Samuel somewhere, I know. Yeah, so we are going to do this together tonight. Remember, we are doing this from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. 3 hours full of content. Let me say content. Yeah, so full of insights. Therefore, please join us. I told you 88.8 concerns you here in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa. Radio Gen KE, that is on our social media platforms, and on our online platform, you can be able to follow us. That is at rgk.co.ke. And therefore, starting us off, I have played a lot of clips already of so many things that happened in the course of the week. But let me start with this one around health and hear what the CS Health Duale said this week.
And that's why since I went, healthcare workers ask the doctors union, ask the UHC staff, ask the other leadership, ask the whole sector now has stabilized. But there are people who want to earn their living by using the healthcare workers in our country who are doing amazing work. Without healthcare workers, UHC and Taifa Care and universal health coverage will not be achieved. But they should not use the healthcare workers as bogey.
Well, I will start just by a question to our panelists, and the question is, what the CS has said about the stabilization of the healthcare sector. I mean, the health sector. Is it true, according to you? We start with Alfred.
Thank you, Trisha, for the invite. I think CS Duale, according to me, is a very good politician. Come CS. I don't see much that has changed in terms of the healthcare in the country, even with him coming. But I see a lot of bullying. You remember when a journalist tried to ask more questions about the payments of SHA, about the SHA scandal. I think he was chased out of the press conference. Nowadays, you don't hear much on health reporting, and any small issue that is reported, there's a harder pushback from the CS. Yet, from the experience when you interact with Kenyans, they still hold the same complaints. They still say at some point SHA is not working very well. They have to go out of pocket to cater for their health expenses. So it just speaks to a lot of political management that comes with a lot of bullying, which I don't think it solves the situation. It means that when he's not there, or if there is a national health emergency, it's when now all these things will uncover themselves. So when CS says that somebody is using our doctors, I think it is prudent that he mentions the person. I was also expecting we hear more progress on the files he took to DCI, the files he took to EACC. If indeed he was claiming the problem in SHA comes from the healthcare providers who are trying to defraud the SHA fund. Mm-hmm. So according to me, this high-level political management of health, which works in the short term. But in the long term, I don't see it working per se for the sake of Kenyans. That is my take.
Okay, thank you, Alfred. And just by the way, you did not introduce yourself and tell us where umepotelea wapi. Actually, let's first of all go around and introduce yourself. Najua nimewasemea majina, but you can say better, with whatever you're doing and majorly what you are up to this week. Then we continue.
Yes, sure. Okay, my name is Makoti Alfred. But I recently graduated, so some of my students and colleagues call me Dr. Makoti. But outside the academic realm, I think Makoti is easier to interact with. I teach international relations and diplomacy at Kenya Methodist University. This week has been fairly fast because of the holiday we had yesterday. A lot of exams going on in our system. That is because I teach in a private university. I know in the public universities, people are still now, the semester is picking up because of the recent strike.
Sure, yes.
Yes, but this week has been very eventful, but unfortunately this morning woke up to news. We lost one of our leaders or former leaders from Western, Honorable Jironga. I want to pass my condolences to family and friends and all the people in Kakamega.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Good evening to our viewers. My name is Lena Mati. I believe I'm not a visitor in this Jerusalem. I've been here before. I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm also a champion of democracy. Thank you so much for having me. My life has just been normal. Like my friend. Democracy.
Okay. And a Gen Z.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Matthew K. Samuel. I'm the current chairperson of National Youth Empowerment Forum. At the same time, I'm a Pan-Africanist and an advocate of East African in the Department of Youth in ESE. At the same time, I'm an accountant by profession, and I love this country, and we just need the best for this country. We are not enemies of anyone, but we just need the best for Kenya. Yeah, that's who I am.
Welcome to the Generation Report.
For the first time.
The first time. Yeah, this is a show. Actually, it's a show whereby we look at the big stories of the week, and we don't just look at them. We just look at them deeply and be able to get a different perspective around those stories. Because of course, I know people have read news, but then we want to give it a new perspective. We also want to inform the decision making and opinions, shaping opinions in the country through the discussions that we have here. So you're welcome. Thank you. Welcome.
I do follow.
Oh, you do follow. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a bigger fan for this show actually.
Okay.
Because it gives me the brief of everything that's happened during the week. Because of a busy schedule, you find yourself you cannot get each and every detail, but through this show, at least we get something and very benefiting for the society.
Thank you. Najua sasa amemaliza kila kitu. Amefunga. Yeah, so welcome back Makosi, welcome Lena. So let's continue with the conversation. Like I had played the clip about Duale healthcare, him saying that healthcare, since he took over the charge of the ministry, healthcare has stabilized in the country, and Makotsa has said that in the short run, yes, but in the long run you're seeing problems. So let's hear what Matthew has to say about this.
Maybe first I want to agree with my doctor here that CS is a good politician and not a good manager at the same time, because if you see whatever has happened in not only health, maybe because we are talking about health, let me focus with health, but with the entire cabinet under the government of Kenya Kwanza, you get to realize that many of the things that are happening are short term, in nature. These are things that are going to be to bring impact in the next 8 months to 12 months. But when you're trying to look into this, when we are singing each and every day, Vision 2030, Vision 2030, we might even not get to that Vision 2030 with the mediocrities that have been going there. So if CS can come and tell us that some people are using our doctors, it's like you are the owner of the house and you're coming out to tell people that someone is sleeping in my house. So who is supposed to be telling who what? So I think I don't agree with whatever CS is saying. Though on the impact at short run, I can agree. But at long run, whatever is happening in the health sector, it is going to affect our generation negatively and a big time. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear from Lena.
Thank you again, Tricia. Let me begin by saying that as CS Duale, he has the responsibility of management, just like my colleagues have said. And that management runs across different, not just the ministry, but across different stakeholders. Because if you look at the Ministry of Health, there are different stakeholders. We have us, the citizens, who will frequent the hospitals. We have service providers. We have health promoters. We have owners of hospitals. And we have now the ministry. And one of the things for the Ministry of Health to be able to work properly, there needs to be a coordination and cooperation within all those relevant stakeholders. Now, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers issued a strike notice that they would begin their strike on 23rd of December because some of their issues that they had are not yet being looked into. And I think that's where now CS Duale came out blasting and saying that some of these protests are being used by union leaders so that they can be able to achieve something that so that they can be able to achieve their own benefits. Now, if I look at it, it looks like it's a way of him trying to dismiss the legitimacy of the protest. Because if you say that, then you are saying that those protests are not genuine. You are also saying that their concerns are also not genuine. Because you also said that the people that joined those protests are actually not healthcare workers. Which for me, I believe that if those are allegations that they need to be taken deeper and looked into, they need to be investigated and probably prosecuted so that you can be able to understand where these healthcare workers, non-workers are coming from. For a long time, there has always been a contention between healthcare workers, doctors, clinical officers, and the ministry. And I think it also goes to also the Ministry of Education. And those are critical ministries in our government. I believe that what needs now to be done is not shouting the shouting match between the two sides, the unions and the ministry. I think what they need to do is to come and sit down and be able to hear their grievances, because I don't believe that they can just wake up from nowhere and say that you're going to start protest. There has to be something that is triggering the protest. So I think the ministry, together with the relevant stakeholders, not just the unions alone, but all the relevant stakeholders, need to come together and look into what are the bottlenecks in the ministry. What is it? What is hindering the progress of the ministry? Iron them together and then work for the benefit of the Kenyans. But if CS Duale begins a fight with union officials, it is a fight that is not going to win any time. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I like it when you're talking about when you're saying that the dismissal. Most of the time, leaders coming out and dismissing. Every time there is a call, they coming out and saying that it's not true.
Yes.
Kuna watu waliingilia maandamano. Kuna watu ambao hawafai kuwa katika yale maandamano wameandamana. So at the end of the day, you realize that we cannot get a solution when we dismiss all these things.
Yes.
Every now and then we are not able to get to a solution because first of all, you've not accepted that there is a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you haven't accepted, then you cannot be able to get a solution.
And that is where I find a problem with CS Duale, because since he took over office, there is no admission of any challenge that the healthcare sector faces. And you cannot tell me that you are running an organization, you're running maybe radio generation, you're running a university, you're running a hospital, and there is absolutely no challenge. You see, by you first admitting that there is a concern about clinical officers. Even it tones down, they can reconsider having the strike next year or February. But when you outrightly come and dismiss their concern, and when you look at it, even after dismissing, he acknowledges it at some point, saying that that the clinical officers who are striking are clinical officers employed by the national government to work in the national referral. So he's saying that that their concerns are not legitimate because they are not speaking for the clinical officers employed by the county government, paid by the county government. But at the end of the day, these people work under different institutions. The ones who want to strike are working for the national government. It means there are challenges maybe they're experiencing that maybe the county government clinical officers are not experiencing. I don't know if you get me.
I'm getting you, yes.
CS Dole needs to have a culture of acknowledging that sometimes there can be challenges in where you work.
That are genuine.
I was watching him in a radio station, in a TV, explaining about the health US-Kenya health deal, and he was very dismissive, saying that he doesn't need to explain why we are sharing data with the US government. And it was a question asked by a journalist, I think, in an interview. So that attitude, I think, will not help run the health sector in the long run, because health is very dynamic. We can be working very well. Shah is working today, even in the whole of the month, but next month challenges occur. We must be able to acknowledge that we have serious challenges and we need to address them.
Well, there's also another thing that we need to note about the whole issue of US Kenya, the health
cooperative framework.
Yes, that framework. Again, the president came out and said that there's no private data that is being shared, and that of course the laws, our constitution that controls or manages the issues to do with data, privacy of data, of course applies in this pact that is being agreed between Kenya and the US. So I don't know what's your take on that.
Well,
because he swear, like, as long as I'm the president, no data is being shared.
You know, I'm not against bilateral agreements by any nature, because we live in a world that is a very small village.
True.
And so we'll have to help each other. But to our dear president is a political actor. And I don't think there is anyone that would admit their guilt. The matter has been taken to court. And there's a High Court ruling that says that pending the hearing and determination of the application that was brought by the Senator Kio Mutata, and also the consumer, there's a consumer organization, I'm forgetting the name, that pending that determination, that everything with regards to dissemination and sharing of data has been stopped for the time being. So the application is meant to be heard, I think, next year, February. Now, I want to hear what the court is going to say, what the court is going to make a ruling on. At the moment, I don't want to really put my trust on President Ruto. I want first to hear what the court is going to say. And I've also seen, politicians try to challenge and say that, there's nothing like that. But we need, if these concerns are not taken into consideration as early as now, especially legal consideration, owing to the fact that they are urgent, it will come a time whereby we may not be able to take care of them. Because one of the things that the petitioners mentioned was that it would cause, if data is shared, it would cause irreversible harm. And you realize that if the same is not looked into right now by the courts, then when you are realizing it, probably in 2027, it will be already past time, because there's what we call that, there's what we say that this matter has already been overtaken by events. So if the concerns are not looked into right now through a legal process, I don't want something that is partisan, because the president is a political actor before he's the president. So I don't want something that is partisan. I want something that is independent, from an independent institution that has looked and investigated into the claims that have been made and has come up with a decision. So as of now, I'm also waiting for the court to make a ruling on the same, a complete ruling, not the conservatory orders that they have given.
Okay, let's hear from.
And just to add on whatever she has said, when you're trying to look at the agreement itself, there's no way a president can come out and try to swear or to prove that the agreement never included things to do with data after the public have raised the concern. It was there, and it is there. It is in the agreement, even if it is everywhere. That agreement includes sharing of data between Kenya and the government of US. So when the president tries to come, how many times has President Ruto came out and tried to convince the youth that something that is happening, it is not the same? But we know deep down at the end what is going to be the results. So the entire thing, I can just conclude by saying it's a decoy, because the immediate people who are going to be affected with this whole thing are still the citizens of Kenya. And that's why I applaud the courage of Senator Okia, my good friend, together with Kenya Federation. Was it Kenya Consumers Federation of Kenya? Sorry, COFEC, for the courage they took to make sure that they can see on how to stop this thing. And I want to urge our judiciary kindly, let us look into this thing deeply. In regards to the constitution and the data of each and every citizen of Kenya, to make sure that we deliver a verdict ruling in regard to the same. Because if we fail on this, we are failing on the entire generation. Yeah, thank you.
Let's hear from Alfred.
I think I look at the situation from a diplomatic point of view. There's absolutely no problem with sharing health data. Of course, we've been sharing this data with WHO, CDC, which who are mostly controlled by the United States. So I'd want to believe before the United States pulled out of World Health Organization, they had access to all this data. The only problem is what is this data going to be used for? And we as Kenyans, are we also able to access data of the US citizens? Is it two-way? Is it two-way? And at the same time, the question I'm asking myself is, when now we are on the table negotiating for this agreement, we already know that we are from a disadvantaged point of view. The cooperative framework came because of the stop work order by President Trump, and now each country is going to negotiate for USAID in quotes at an individual level. So can we survive without can our health sector run without an excess of 200 billion that they are funding us? The question, the answer is absolutely no. I think our patients in the hospitals will be widely affected. The issue now comes in: what is this data going to be used for in the United States? And they should be very clear in. If it's research, are we able to benefit from the research apart from the 200 billion they're giving us? If it is, let's say, they're going to develop some trends on drugs, are we able to get those drugs? Because it is our data that is being used to manufacture or develop systems or develop health solutions. So it would be very unfair that the data is being used for their benefit, and yet it is Kenyan data. That is the only challenge. And at the same time, if we get US patients' data or health data records, is the US going to benefit? There are absolutely very brilliant Kenyans who are doing research at Cambridge. Yes. They should be able to access the data from maybe Arizona.
Okay,
and the US citizens also to benefit.
But I want to maybe to ask, because at the end of the day, the reason why the US will be able to maybe to want to access our data, it's because they are funding us. They are giving us that aid. They are supporting us, like you're saying, for research, for such things. Because again, if the funding that used to come through the NGOs, most of, if any case, people used to share data.
Yes.
Because even the NGOs were reporting back to the donor givers. They would take back, these are the people that we engaged, these funds that you gave benefited this and this and this because of this and this and this. So it is a report that used to get back. But now I know the case is a bit different, because this is now a government to government. That is now where the problem now lies. This is a government to government. So when the president promises that the laws, data privacy laws that apply in our country will be able to also apply in the US, why don't we trust him?
You know Article 31 of the Constitution escalates broadly about health information or health data are personal. When we are talking about NGOs that were reporting to their funders and their donors earlier before, they were whatever they were doing is authentication, not full access. According to what President engaged with the government of US, is now full access. The United States government can have full access of the patients, more so with the disease like malaria, TB, and HIV. These are people that before you share their data, this is something personal. If I don't want you to share, when you're talking about NGO, before I get the support from an NGO, I will be convinced and it will be out of conscience that I'm going to share my data to them so that I can benefit from whatever is being provided. But now it's the government. They have your everything. Even now the game that they were saying about SHA, kwamba mtu amekatwa mguu 3-4 times, now people who are going to be suffering from TB, we might be having millions and millions of people who are suffering from TB but are not suffering from TB because the government wants to benefit from what is being provided. Now that's where our problem is, because the data is
so
private.
The problem is not the data. The problem is now
how the data is going to how the data is going to be used, because what we know fully, the data is going to be misused. That's the fact.
I feel like I'm really not reading from the same page with my brothers here. You see, data right now is a gold mine.
True.
And especially in countries like US and Asia. And even if I believe that there are restrictions. They have probably been given an extent to which they can be able to gather and store data for people. Now, this is a government of Kenya that is interacting with another government. I don't believe that data needs to be shared with another government, to be honest. Because you see, the framework that we have is for 5 years. We are not getting into long-term agreement with this government. It's just an agreement for five years. So it's just going to benefit us for 5 years. But our data is going to benefit them for how long? That's where I have a problem with sharing of that data, irrespective of whether it's going to be misused or not misused. I believe that it's a violation of data privacy to share data of your citizens with another country, and especially whereby there is no particular framework of how this data is, to what extent is this data going to be used, and whether it is in safe hands, whether it is going to be misused or used properly. There is no that framework. So we are living in abstract form.
So the problem is now the lack of a framework.
Exactly.
Which may be there, it's only that it has not been shared.
What framework? I mean, we would know.
No, it might be there, but maybe we don't know.
Why? Then why tell us when you don't want to share with us?
It could have been mentioned.
Yeah.
If you
tell us.
Because the president is talking about laws applying about privacy. Yes, data privacy. He's saying it applies. What does the law about data privacy say?
Must have consent.
Yes, so that means they will still need
consent
that
from
because
where?
They said it applies across.
health data are private.
But honestly speaking, I think there is a trust deficit among. Let me not just say
Kenyans to the government.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
anybody who comes out to assure Kenyans that your data is going to be not to be misused, I think we don't trust that. I personally don't trust it. I know it might be true, but I don't trust it, because as she has said, there should be something that we should know what this data is going to be used for. Like, for example, when I'm conducting a research and I come and ask you questions, you should be able to know which kind of research I am.
True. Yes,
exactly. Because as you said, they're going to develop very costly cancer drugs out of the health data, HIV, maybe vaccines. They analyze 200 billion and excess. There should be something extra that we get that we get when we are sharing this
as an assurance, yes, that we are safe. And you see, this discussion actually comes at the backdrop of the time whereby Kenyans have actually been raising concern over the COVID jabs, and people are wondering, could there have been something that was there, an hidden agenda? So I believe that it's good that Kenyans are raising these, and they have all they should actually raise it, because if they don't raise it right now, we may end up as casualties in all this, and then President Ruto will have finished his term. And I also believe that the president cannot be jury and judge in his own case. He cannot come and say, he cannot be the one that is signing and then also assuring us. It needs to go beyond that.
No, I mean, I think he was just responding to the critics. Let me say the critics of this agreement.
Yes.
Because he said, even the attorney said that he went through it. He went through the contract before they agreed.
And even
well,
the
anyway,
general, yes.
But anyway, this. Okay, Lisawa, you are justified. Anyway, Kenyans are justified by they to
I think
push
on matters health data. I think we should have a totally different
approach,
a totally different agreement on data, because health data includes age. A lot of things that can be used even beyond the health realm. When they have access of health data in terms of the demographics of every Kenyan, these guys are very serious guys. They'll be able to predict Kenya's population in the next 30 years.
True.
Yes, because their analysis and their whatever they do with AI
is high tech.
Yes, high tech. Yes. So we should have a very different agreement, and whichever reports they generate using our data, they should share with us. That is at the end of the day,
basically what we need. Well, I think that's fair enough. So let's wait for the courts. We hear what happens in next year. I think, was it Feb or January?
February.
Yes, somewhere around Feb. We hear what will be the court's ruling around the whole issue, and then now we can move forward. But as of now, I think now the agreement iko tu imesimama hapo. Yeah, so, well, let's switch on to something else as we continue.
Familia zenu, we'll continue standing with the family. Sana, karibuni nyumbani. Wish you well when you go home. Wasalimia familia zenu. We'll continue standing with the families of the brothers and sisters that lost loved ones, and we will continue standing with them even and remember them even at this very critical juncture. And those who got injured in this mission, we wish them very quick recovery, and we know that they are receiving the best treatment to make sure that they get back to their feet soon as possible and back to work. Lastly, let me say that the lessons you have learned should make you better experts. Now you are police experts. You know that. You are police experts. You are not the same. The knowledge you have achieved is beyond what you would have gotten in a class. So as you come back, you are leaders. Please bring that knowledge. Help us make the National Police Service better based on the values, the principles, the experiences that you got from this mission. We expect you to come back and provide leadership. And
Yeah, that is the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen to the 230 police officers who came back from Haiti from that peacekeeping mission that is in Haiti, welcoming them back and of course encouraging them of the experience they got from there, and of course pledging the government's support to those to the families of those who lost their lives there, and also those who are injured in their line of duty, pledging the government's support on them. And again, we saw another consignment of 200 and another 30 went back to Haiti, still to continue with the mission, the peacekeeping mission. I don't know what are your submissions around this mission by Kenyans to the Haiti country.
Wow. I think the fact that we've not really had major cases, especially insecurity issues against our officers, it seems like they are doing well. We had some teething problems before when the first cohort was deployed there. But right now, I think things have stabilized. And I think it's also a good thing that you're also helping in promoting peace in Haiti. I also think we also are doing a good work by probably what Secretary Marco Rubio said. He said that the good work that Kenya has done in Haiti is one of the things that has made it get into the health cooperative framework. So I believe that as a country, we are really helping in peacekeeping missions. Probably what I might be able to understand is their welfare, how they are being taken care of by the government when they will leave Haiti and those kind of things. For me, it's a bit abstract, but I think so far so good. We are doing well. Yes.
So because you are seeing them, they are healthy, they come back, they are healthy, and they are happy.
There are also no other big concerns that have been raised. Yes.
So it means everything is quite okay.
Yes.
Makotsi?
I think it was a good diplomatic move, but it didn't go as planned, and that's why right now in my mind I'm I've reconsidered my position in it. On the face value, everything is going well, but the undertones at the United Nations General Assembly this year, and the talks William Ruto has been having with several world leaders, this mission is not being funded. It means Kenyan taxpayer money is being used in Haiti. Yet we are providing the boots in Haiti. Our soldiers are the ones in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
The way it normally works, you provide the soldiers, the UN or whichever country provides the funds. We cannot be providing the policemen at the same time funding their welfare, and we are a third or an emerging economy. So it means that there is a child who is not going to school next year because our money in an excess of billions are being used in Haiti. So there should be a rallying call by our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Kenyan President Ruto to especially the United Nations Security Council to fund this mission 100%. And you can also see this by the small complaints we had last year when they are saying that the vehicles being provided in Haiti, they are not up to standard. Sometimes the gangs can shoot and the bullet goes through the body of the vehicle to our police officers. I think there should be more commitment. There should be more pressure. At this time, instead of sending another 200, I think our government should be talking about pulling out of Haiti to compel the international community to fund this mission. Because at the end of the day, if we continue spending our Kenyan taxpayer money in Haiti. That is my point.
Okay. Before I respond to you, yeah.
Maybe I won't have a different opinion from whatever my sister and the doctor has shared. But now, let me be clear. We had a president the other day at United Nations General Assembly complaining about the things that doctor has said, about the vehicles, about the not funding the mission, about not agreeing with the agreement they put when they were deploying the troops. We might be thinking that the troops are back, they are happy because they are healthy and all those things, they are paid. But unless I will do my research, unless we confirm those people are back because they're out of suffering. So it's better it's better to die at home than dying in a foreign land.
No, but we send another consignment of
That's my problem. If you can go to the United Nations General Assembly to complain about all those things, we have not gotten any report that those grievances were met. But still, you are taking other troops to the to the same land that you're complaining about. Who is fooling who? That's why everything that is happening in Kenya government, let us just be clear. Things are happening that I have never seen any government doing whatever is happening now. Because we don't understand why would you bring those who are there, have finished 1.5 years, 1 year, 8 months. Then you are deploying other troops to go and suffer, to go and again we continue complaining about the money. Now this is the problem that is here. So it's a security thing, or someone somewhere is benefiting from the funds and is not telling us the truth. Yeah, it's like complaining about your kids are suffering in one or the other, and still you are burdening them in the same state. So I don't agree. It's a decoy. Again, it's a decoy.
Kenyans, you keep amazing me.
You see, I want to agree with him more because before even we went to Haiti, Kenya never had a mission in Haiti. It never had an ambassador. It never had a consular. We never had any diplomatic relations. We were not. There was no Kenyan coffee being exported to Haiti. There was no Kenyan tea or Kenyan flowers. So, if it was in the case that we could have Kenyan products in Haiti, we could say we are stabilizing Haiti so that we improve our trade. We export. Maybe there are Haiti tourists who are coming to Kenya, and now they're not coming because the country is so stable. But there was no direct benefit Kenya was getting from Haiti. Yet we are spending money, Kenyan taxpayer money, in Haiti.
Okay, just hold on the thought. We will be back after we get to the top of the hour, so that now we can continue, because I think I have something to say about the funding of that whole mission. So now we can continue to something else. But for now, let's get to the top of the hour. This is the Generation Report on Radio Generation.
It's 8 o'clock.
Urban Soul.
Today and every Jamhuri hereafter, we should find us true stewards of the freedom entrusted to us, that we shall honor our forefathers not only by remembering their sacrifice, but by fulfilling our duty and the assignment of our generation to secure for Kenya the full promise of economic freedom.
Sure that we we secure the food security of every person, and there is no need to worry. We have taken measures to use all the available resources, and I want to thank the county government for their partnerships, and therefore His Excellency the President has directed that we meet within the next 1, maximum 2 days as the national disaster preparedness infrastructure of the country, which brings together the two levels of government and other stakeholders, and therefore in the next 24 hours we'll be issuing a comprehensive statement on the mitigation and response measures that we are taking to make sure that no Kenyan sleeps without food, and we have enough resources, and where there are gaps we will mobilize resources from our partners, and we are sure that we will have a good Christmas season, a new year, and we will go out of our way to make sure that actions of this problem.
Wa Nairobi alikuwa ni Raila Amolo Odinga. Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, sisi kama watu wa Nairobi tunamenzi, ndiye alikuwa mbunge ambaye amehudumu kwa muda mrefu, na hii kwa sisi sote ndio siku ya jamhuri ya kwanza bila baba wetu. Tunaomba ya kwamba Mungu azidi kumlaza pema, na ile ambayo tunaweza fanya ni kuiga mfano ambayo alituachia. Tunawakumbuka hawa mashujaa wetu na kuwaenzi ili kuhifadhi matendo yao na kuyapitisha kwa watoto wetu kwa ajili ya kesho. Pili, tunawakumbuka ili kuwaiga, tukijifunza kutoka kwa mafanikio yao na pia kwa makosa yao.
On the youth of this great nation to use their strength, creativity and energy to advocate for and live the value of respect, patriotism and fidelity to the rule of law, and hold persons in authority accountable for us to realize our dream of an ethical and prosperous Kenya. The price is high for all of us to be defeated.
These people have done this so many times. We have members of the public who have identified them. And thankfully to the members of the public, they shared this information with us. And we were able to identify this group. We are still in pursuit of the others. They are not safe yet. And we are sure we are going to get them very soon. Because it has been a persistent problem, we identified officers to task them to look into this.
To be employed on permanent and pensionable is not a walk in the park. Sio kitu ya kusema kwa chukua hapa confirm. When you confirm there is notice, what do you do? Watu watakula nini bila hii? So what we are telling you, and I want to speak from point of authority, is allow us to look for money in supplementary to ensure that when they are promoted, they get salary. And when they are converted to permanent and pensionable, they have something on their table.
We believe with your guidance and your presence in that education committee, you will do something for us. So we are saying as teachers, we shall come January, we shall not go back to class without teachers being confirmed.
Kuambia walimu wa JSS, Mheshimiwa Rais amesikia malilio yenu, amewasikia sana, na nataka kuhakikishia kwamba ametuambia kwamba tujipange, tuhakikishe kwamba in the next financial year tuweze kuweka budget ili watu wetu wa JSS walimu waweze kuwa confirmed.
We take this opportunity to warn members of the public to be on the lookout and to share information with us in case they suspect that what is being sold is not up to standard. It is incumbent upon any member of the public who is consuming any form of alcohol to make sure that whatever they consume does not impact negatively on their health. So we want them to take caution, we want them to be on the lookout, and we want them to share information with us should they come across anybody who's carrying out any unscrupulous business.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership. Economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks. These are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters: the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is Generation Report, your weekly news roundup show on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
And we are right back. This is 88.8 here in Nairobi, that is Radio Generation, and then 90.7 in Mombasa kule pwani, 90.7 90.7 unatutegea kule kutoka kule pwani. Ukitaka kutufuatilia kupitia kwenye tovuti yetu ni rgk.co.ke. Ukitaka pia kutufuatilia kupitia katika mitandao pale kwenye Instagram, pale kwenye Facebook, pale kwenye X, na vile vile kwenye YouTube, you do so at Radio Gen KE. You'll be able to follow the conversation that is taking place here. Remember, the Generation Report is all about the big stories of the week. We are able to give them a new perspective, and we are able to shape decision and opinions in the country, and also inform decision making by the conversations that we are doing tonight right here on the Generation Report. Tonight, I am joined by one Lena Mati. I'm also joined by Alfred Makosi. Right now is a doctor, Dr. Makosi. And then I'm also joined by one Matthew Samuel. All of these are well equipped to ensure that this conversation makes sense and is a great one. So welcome back. We continue with the conversation. Before we went for the break, we were talking about the Haiti mission, the police who had just come back, and again we had another troop going to Haiti. And now the questions that are arising from here is where the budget comes from, revenue that we are saying that we keep on talking of deficits, that it's not even enough. Whatever that the government is collecting in its own country is not enough, and we've really relied on debts, internal debts and even external debts. Alfred has a feeling that this is really eating into the little revenue that we have. There's also Lena, who is also feeling that maybe she needs to research more about the funding, and Matthew pale amekataa hiyo story kabisa. Hiyo story ya Kenya kwenda kule Haiti kuregesha pia maaskari kule. But I feel that when you look at the start of this year, I remember the US wanted to get out of that, the whole plan, but right alone, I think they reconsidered their decision. Again, this early, is it last month? But when the president went to the EU, when they had that meeting, I remember him calling on the Union, the European Union, for them also to support the mission. And again, they said now they are going to transition it from. That's what they said. They were to transition it from the
from a Kenyan-led to a gun suppression mission.
Yes, from a Kenyan-led to UN.
Yes, which was now to be gun suppression.
Yes. So now the UN is supposed also to. We were supposed now to feel the impact of the UN. Yeah. Wakieka pale hivi, wakieka pia the equipments pale. So there was also the challenge of under equipment. They were under-equipped, the troop, like you pointed out. That's a fact. Again, their welfare pia kulikuwa na issues. But then, again, look at the people who have been funding this mission. We are talking of the US. We are talking of other countries like France, Spain, Italy, Algeria. All these people have been supporting this mission, by the way.
They have been supporting, but not to the extent that they promised. You remember, this mission came when President Biden was still US president.
True.
And we had a complete shift when President Trump came in. And dynamics have changed. When you look at EU right now, EU is facing its own fair challenges, fair share of challenges with Russia. So much of the resources that EU would give to Kenya to support Haiti, which is in the Americas, it would consider giving it to Ukraine to defend itself against Russia. And you can see that Trump is even considering pulling out resources out of NATO because he's feeling like he's the one controlling NATO and much of American resources are going into NATO. So unless there is 100% goodwill from the US, which is going to affect the goodwill from the EU to fund this mission, I think would continue using much, of course not 100% of that mission is funded by Kenya,
true,
but most of the mission is, especially in terms of payment of the allowances and salaries for the Kenyan policemen who are there, and that speaks to a very heavy cost. If we are donating or if we are giving out the men, the guns in Haiti and the boots in Haiti, I think the international community should take care of the equipment and the allowances. And the reason why Kenya cannot pull out, those guys are communicating every week, every day with their families. Tuma kitu akishasema tu hatujalipwa, it will be a backlash. That's why the Kenyan government can't miss to pay them every month. You see? Yes, the equipment the US could supply. Maybe they're the same equipment President Biden supplied when he was still president, maybe. But the real cost comes every day, every month, in terms of food, in terms of the salaries and the allowances, which are, I think, from the Kenyan budget, and we are having our own share of challenges, and we are taking that money to a country that does not contribute to us economically. I think it is not prudent.
Because I am just looking at the budget that now we are talking about, what we are using currently. Did you see anywhere they are talking about allocation to such kind of missions? Maybe Lena, you can.
No,
I can see you are nodding.
Yes, I think
that's the same thing that I was just asking myself.
I think it hit me. It hit me when I think this year in June, July, there was a special sitting to reallocate some money because there were complaints coming to the Kenyan media, and there were police in Haiti are complaining, police in Haiti, and the National Assembly was quickly called to reallocate some money to the mission in Haiti. That is when it came to me realizing that these countries are not really supporting us the way they promised. And it was a very good plan if it had worked according to the way
they planned.
Yes, because Kenya, it was supposed to be Kenyan led. Means Kenya was supposed
we are just in the forefront.
Yes, and other countries were supposed to also provide their policemen in Haiti. So far, no country has taken their, even those who promised that they'll support the mission, they have not taken their policemen there. And we already took ours there. So, and it looks like it will be shameful for us to pull out. So we are really struggling to keep that mission alive. And that is why, if you could hear the tone of President Ruto during the United Nations General Assembly, it was really a tone that you have let me down. Yes.
Yeah, that one I agree. Yes. Yeah, so unfortunate. Let's hear Matthew.
So let me continue on you have let me down from Daktari, because we know the Kenyan troops are well trained. These are the people whom, if there was possibility of giving them the resources needed, the guns, the everything that they were complaining about, this is the mission that could not have been taken this whole time.
Yes,
that one I can say it for free, because Kenyan troops are one of the troops that are well trained. And maybe I won't blame the president for this mission, but what I'll blame is the structures that were put in place. Because CS Mbadi, when he was at the parliament, he stated very well that the money that is being used at the Haiti mission, it is coming from what? From where? From supplementary budget. Which supplementary budget when the all bill, the budget for the same was not even capable to sustain the sector of education. So we are suppressing our own budget to make sure that we fund this with the hope that UN Trust Fund will do what? Will reimburse the money. And yes. When shall they reimburse the money? The people are dying in the hospitals. Children are missing to get to the school because of the same. Bridges needed to be built. The roads in the country. So we should wait till the UN Trust Fund do what? Reimburse the money that we're using in Haiti mission when we are not benefiting the way the doctor has said, I agree, when we are not benefiting direct from Haiti. By the way, it is true. In fact, other people just knew Haiti when our troops were going there. There are people who didn't know that there's
a country by that
existing.
name. Yes.
So that's what I can put.
Well, I think some of the challenging questions that people keep on asking is Kenya, all the way from Africa, eastern part of Africa, all the way to Haiti, while we have more powerful countries like the US, which are closer to Haiti. Well, those are some of the challenging questions that people keep on asking, and it prompted me to go check. I was looking at some of the missions that Kenya has participated in, peacekeeping efforts Kenyans have participated in, and I'm seeing 26 of them UN and AU operations since 1979. We are talking of 26.
Yes, and that is a very good record.
True.
And I can really picture it out in terms of the diplomatic leverage Kenya would get, the way we have gotten from our history of sending peacekeeping missions. The good thing about Kenyan mission is when they get in, they do a clean job and get out. And most of the time, they actually ensure that the peace is there. And that you wouldn't hear of, you see, other peacekeeping missions, you'd hear people doing business or human rights violation, but Kenyan peacekeeping has never had such a problem. Even in Haiti, where we are having a lot of gangs, and I want to echo what you said, we were able to take over the airport and major government installation, the Kenyan police, in just about 2 weeks. And to date, we sort of have something like a transitional council in Haiti, working courtesy of the Kenyan policemen. It means if Kenyan policemen were given more support, I think Haiti could now be very stable, taking care of their own security, leaving the security of Haiti to the Haitian police officers. The only challenge is we are not being well resourced to execute this mission. Yes, even the 3 deaths that have occurred, accident, I don't know, one was kidnapped, you wouldn't explain that they're just issues as a result of not being well resourced in the mission. Yes.
Well, I think that's fair enough. But, well, another question, a big question that Kenyans have been asking is, what will Kenya lose by withdrawing from the Haiti mission if they don't get the support that they need?
Maybe let me, that's exact thing that Dr. has said. Number one, maybe Kenya will lose that diplomatic relation that it has been having with many countries, more so with the UN countries. Then another thing, maybe that's the only thing, according to me, that Kenya is going to lose. But now,
is it worth comparing compared to the
yes, it is not
the
worthy
welfare of Kenyans
of Kenyan troops, and it's driving me to is who is trading on who, because we know literally in Africa or many African countries that government trades on its own citizen. Now I feel like the government is trading on who? On our troops, because if this mission was not well placed, we couldn't see the signing of we are agreeing between this, and this is exactly that are already there. This is the structure, and this is what is going to be. There's no even framework We only heard about Haiti. 2 weeks later, the troops are being trained. The third week, the troops are being deployed to Haiti. So I feel like it is high time. If the funding is not well done, it's better we bring our troops back. But if you see others are coming back and others are going, there's someone somewhere smiling, and people are.
It's all about a smooth transition.
It's
That's
not,
what we promised.
I don't think if it's about smooth transition, because if it's about smooth transition within this month, 18 month, almost 19.
Mm-hmm.
What could be in Haiti is total peace if the full funding was put in place. And the president himself said at UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, that the way Dr. said, the tone was, you have failed me. So where did he become convinced very fast for him to continue with the same thing? Me, I feel like it was time now to put everything in place. If you are not going to give us the total funds that we need and every resources, it's better now when our troops are coming back, we hold on first. If you are giving us the full framework, we can do what? We can deploy other troops. But whatever is happening, sisi wa Kenya ndio wapumbavu. But someone somewhere knows what is exactly happening. But one day, what I know and what I understand is that we'll come to know the truth of this mission, because this is one of the most complicated mission I have ever experienced that the Kenya is undertaking.
Okay, thank you. Let's switch on to something else. Not unless you have anything to add around the Haiti mission.
Maybe I could just chip in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we really accept that there are challenges with the funding. You know, I was just looking at the debriefing that was done by one of the officers that landed from Haiti. And he was really proudly and admirably talking about people could not move, children could not go back to school. But he said that a month later, after they got there, they were able to neutralize the situation. And trade businesses went back to normal. So you're looking at all that, the capacity to rebuild a city that was and a country that was under ruins, and then you're also looking at operational challenges. If you look at the achievement that have been made by the Kenyan mission to Haiti, is really commendable. Even the people there were spoke in admiration of Kenya, and then say, they used to say that Kenya is our blood, Kenya is part of us. And then now you look at the operational challenges, even sometimes when you're in a house, you face things like lack of salt. Sometimes you may not really get some money to do shopping, probably because of financial constraints and all that. But I'm choosing to also look at the bigger picture of what has been achieved in Haiti. I believe that these diplomatic challenges that we are experiencing, probably they can be resolved, and I'm not trying to overlook them, but I'm also looking at the impact that has been made in Haiti. We're not really sure that these people came back because there were challenges. I believe it's because of they are going in cohorts. So this group comes back, another is trained, and so for me, in as much as I acknowledge the operational challenges, especially with regards to funding and all that, I'm also really proud of what the Haiti group has done over there. It has saved millions of people in Haiti.
Okay, let me take you to something else.
Have lost some of the animals, and we are now planning to designate grazing zones to ensure sufficient water tracking for our livestock.
Na kuanzia leo na kuendelea, national government kupitia State Department for Asals and Regional Development imeanza kusupply relief food katika kila sub county.
Well, we are talking of drought. This is something that is has really affected our country so far. I was talking to some people from my home area, and they are saying now crops are drying up. We've heard reports from the northeastern part of the country whereby cattle are dying. We are talking of, there's famine because of course there have been no rains. So this is something that is affecting many regions in our country, and so far so good. We've heard what he has talked about, that they are getting some aid, some support in terms of relief food. I don't know, what is your take? Again, we are coming to talk about a funding of a mission. And here we also are talking about people going without food. What is your take on this? And actually, this is just it's a national disaster. Let me call it a national disaster. Actually,
we took it as a national disaster because we want to remain there. Actually, how many years till now are we continuing to singing about the same thing? Poverty, lack of education, disease. These are the same thing that we have been fighting for a long time, till now, till today. And let me tell you one thing. The same thing that they are saying about let me first agree that there's drought in those areas. But what is the cause of the same? What's the cause of this thing? Those areas, in 6-7 months ago, there was rain. Yeah? Everything was running. There were crops. So all of a sudden, now this is the shift. The main reason I can say is the government. I'm not blaming the government, by the way, but let us talk about the truth, because the first protector of a citizen is the government.
The government, yes.
So even if the proper structure was supposed to be put in place to protect those people from the drought and all those things, it's the government. This is why we have all expertise. This is why we have the CSS. So what is their function if they cannot find... They have a lot of reports about what is supposed to be done to make sure that we curb the problem of famine. That's okay. Maybe they are not capable to do that. That's a work of God. Let us assume that things to do with drought and all those things. Now let us talk about from the point of a well-learned person, a human, or I can call it in a humanity way. A lot of funds are being misused in shaggy things, expensive breakfasts, expensive travels, and car and like what are we seeing in the government? Rallies each and every time. Yeah, the only breakfast or almost 1.8 million, surely. Then this money, if you just take this money and provide only one canter of food to those people, it can take them almost a month. So we are just still there, because now someone told me one thing, and I want to say it. Many people fear about systems because they know if you follow the system, you'll not come out of the same of those. Each citizen to be in that state, so that when it's almost to the elections, they run there with lorries of food and everything, and now they are giving them, dishing out and telling them we are provided, so you can vote for us. But now people are dying because of the same. You are given what you are supposed to be getting for free. So I don't understand what is happening. We are still fighting the things that were supposed to be done by 2002 there. But it's okay. This is Kenya.
My brother, sorry. You are talking with so much pain, with so much pain. But, what you've said is quite okay. Actually, in terms of the government having the responsibility to protect, to take care of its citizens, that's correct. That's right. I want to take you back to that time when we didn't have devolution. Because I think we should now be seeing a change after devolution came, because at least people are able to understand the problems of a certain region, because the government is closer to the people there. That government is closer to the people, and they are the same people who are able to, they are supposed to identify maybe opportunities in such areas, or areas that really need improvement, need support, and then also channel resources towards that. But is that what we are really seeing with our county governments?
I think I think that was exactly my point when he was speaking. I was just thinking about we have levels of government. We have the national government, we have the county government, and I wouldn't say that famine should be a problem as a result of drought. Maybe it shouldn't be a problem in a government that runs well, because I want to believe in the counties that are experiencing drought, we have minister or county CEC of water, and just as he has said, maybe 3 months in a year we have floods in those areas. Why can't we plan well and have stores of water to irrigate or to store water during the dry season so that farming can go on? In the national government, we are hearing about Singapore, we are hearing about Rironi Mau Summit. I think the citizens in the north are thinking we are really living in a very different country, because when you hear somebody talk about a 6-lane or 4-lane towards Eldoret or towards Western, and somebody is dying of famine, I think you would really imagine he's in another country. Why can't the national government establish a fund to take care of emergency situations? Yes, there can be emergencies you cannot avoid, but why can't we have a fund so that in the case that the county governments have done what they should have done and they have reached a point of no return, the national government now steps in with a fund to provide food, water to these kinds of population? Because at the end of the day, the first responsibility of our government is to keep us alive in whichever situation, whether it's an earthquake, whether it's famine, whether it's drought. That is the first responsibility of a government. The second is now what we are seeing, infrastructure, but we cannot enjoy all what we are saying when we are all dead. And it really calls to a national conversation, because every year you must hear leaders complaining or citizens complaining about the issue of famine and drought. We must have very deliberate conversation on how to end that situation in the coming years. If not, I think our dream of becoming Singapore is
actually I'm looking at them. I'm looking at us in that big luxurious vehicle towards Singapore. So just an imaginary picture, and yet we have some people dying of hunger. That's what I'm looking at, actually, because where we are right now as we speak is that the journey to Singapore already started, right? That's why we are talking of these big roads. The journey has already started, but then there are so many people that we are going to leave behind. Exactly. In terms of, I mean, we are going to Singapore, but there are some people who will still remain stuck in Kenya. Yeah, that is just imaginary too. Yeah, so from where I sit as a Kenyan, now not as a journalist or what, but as a Kenyan, I feel like there is a lot that we really need to do, because like what he has talked about, big cars, luxurious lifestyles and so forth, yet there's somebody who cannot just afford a meal, just a single meal. It's quite I think we call upon the government to think about this. Yeah, to think about this, because tunaelekea Singapore, yes, hata mimi nataka kwenda Singapore, but then let's be careful not to leave some people behind.
And trust me, we cannot even reach halfway Singapore if we are leaving those people behind. We cannot, because I think it will be unsustainable. Are living luxuriously, enjoying 6-lane roads. I think would not be a country. You know, that's how people call for secession and say this is your Kenya. I think we would not even imagine Singapore if we are not taking care of those guys. We have to move, all of us. Everybody has to feel they are part of this country.
You know, Daktari, let me just cut you short. You know, Singapore was built in 6 phases, but what Kenya is trying to do, Kenya is coming in phase 4. We are coming in denial and refusing to start from foundation. Singapore started in foundation. When you're complaining about this big cars, big breakfast and all those things, this, number one, corruption and mismanagement. In Kenya, if we cannot fight those two things first, we cannot build Singapore in Kenya. We will have Singapore in our minds, but we'll be living in Kenya. Countries like Malawi, countries like Eritrea, Ethiopia is doing well actually currently. They will reach there while we are still standing. We are saying tuliona Canaan lakini tumeshindwa kufika huko, because when you're checking on how Singapore was built, you realize a lot of things. Many leaders, even government leaders, decided now to cut short of their allowances and all those expensive things to make sure that the government is being those people that are supposed to get those resources are getting them in time. We cannot be cheering to get our rights. This is what's happening in Kenya, because citizens, when they are built roads, it's like they have done a favor. It's not a favor that government is doing for us. It is our right to have those roads. So what government of Kenya is trying to do is trying to build Singapore in Kenya at phase 4. It is refusing to start from
at phase 1.
At phase 1, at the foundation level. Yeah.
Okay, Lina, let's hear your submission.
Wow, it's been really good to listen to my brothers here. You see, when the 2010 Constitution came into place, it was really to cater for the marginalized groups. And through that, they created what we call devolution through the county governments.
Yeah.
And the county governments specifically came so that they can be able also to take care of specific problems in specific regions. So if it's a county like Kiambu has very different problems from a county like Northeastern. And so through the devolution, it was all to come and take care of the specific targeted problems of that particular place. Now, one of the things about Northeastern area is that it is semi-arid. And we've never ran away from that. For years, it has been semi-arid. But now my issue is, despite knowing this, and even despite having early warning systems on weather and all those kind of things, what has the county government been able to do in order to take care or to probably provide an alternative means for its citizens? You see, we have different abilities and we have different strengths, different abilities and weaknesses. If you look at a country like Singapore, they knew that for us, we cannot rely on agriculture. Why? Because we have limited land. So what did they go to do? They went to do trade. They created a conducive environment for international firms to come and invest in them, and then from their resources and their capital, they would be able now to build what they call the light industries that will just like consuming industries, industries that provide consumption, like food, electronics, just buy goods for consumption. If you look at Northeastern itself has not really moved away from how much it hasn't developed much, in as much as probably we've had a little bit of inclusion, but there are still stubborn issues that have not been dealt with. And I have a problem with this because consistently in every report by the Auditor General, the leaders of Northeastern counties are always leading in corruption. So we're not seeing where this money that is meant for the counties is going. Even if probably the strength of the county is not probably in agriculture, how can it be able to develop itself such that it now gets into it's integrated economically and you know it deals with other things? For instance, if it's trade, if it's probably something else to do with because I know there are camels there, so how can it be supported in that aspect? So I think this is not just a government issue alone, national government, because the national government has its liability and a role to play, but also I'm also blaming the county governments that they have not been innovative enough to come up with solutions that specifically target those particular counties.
Yes, I like that. And I just want to back her up. If you are in these circles, the circles of politics, you realize that most of the Northeastern governors, they live in Nairobi. They only go to chair county CEC's meeting 2 days in a month. The rest of the month they're in Nairobi. I think this is misplaced because of that region politically is governed by something called guided democracy. There's not really one man, one vote, independent thinking. It is when the elders say it is Trisha who is going to be governor, it is Trisha at the end of the day. So the citizens also have a role to play. I think they should move away out of that guided democracy practice and have leaders who can feel their suffering, who can stand with them. Most of these problems they're experiencing, it is because somebody came in Nairobi, was a very good businessman, collected some money. He now wants to join politics. He goes and buys off the elders endorse him, and then when he becomes governor, he goes back to Nairobi. You see, he cannot really connect with drought, because in Nairobi here he's able to afford food, he's able to afford housing. So there needs to be a shift in terms of leadership in that whole region. And I just want to agree with her. Just go and check the successive audit reports about the financial management in those counties. I think there is less being done. Yes, there's something being done. Like Garissa, I think they performed their first, CS operation the other month. But there needs to be more resources to projects that impact directly to the people, not going to the pockets of a few politicians.
Well, this has also reminded me of the Galana Kulalu project pia ya gava usicheke. Yes, hiyo pia project ya gava ya masuala na mahindi. The other day I saw wakisema kwamba wanalima mahindi mingi sana. And again also there's also another problem with a challenge with sometimes we harvest, sometimes we have a good harvest, by the way, but then now again now the storage, unapata kuna mahindi pia zinaharibika a lot really happens. And like you've said, it's this is a collective responsibility. Not only, I mean, there's the national government, the county governments, and even individuals. We are looking at the kind of leaders that we are electing. Just ask yourself the kind of a leader that you are. Is it somebody who can just go? Is somebody who is able even to go look for donor funding for maybe a project in their area? You know your area very well. So are you somebody who can just go sit down with some people, come up with some strategic ideas that can help improve or develop your county? Because sometimes as a government, as a county government, there are some things that these people can really do. Wanaweza pata investors if they really want. You can come out, you go look for investors. There are kuna makampuni zinataka kuinvest, but then now if you have people who do not have such, like we really want to depend with the share that comes from the national government and the few taxes that we collect from levies and whatever that we collect from our regions, you get. So it becomes a challenge. I think moving on forward, as Kenyans, we also need to look at what kind of a leader are you electing. Apart from kwamba okay, this is a Kenyan, yes, anataka kura, amekuja ameniomba kura, sawa. But again, apart from also ile accountability, is it also somebody who thinks strategically? Because I think that is important in our country, because I don't think like countries like Singapore, like these people waliamuka tu, like those people who are really steering the country were just people like watu tu hivi. Sure. These people think beyond, wanaenda ahead of the other people. So I feel like in our country, apart from just looking at these people like who ni mtu, yes, unaweza elect somebody who can somebody who is accountable. But apart from being accountable, like ni watu tu, they are just honest, they cannot think. They cannot think beyond what they have been offered with. First of all, I think we have a lot of work to do. We have, because first of all, getting somebody who can take care of the little that we have as a country, the little that they are getting from their counties and even from the government. And again, somebody now who can think beyond that little that we have. I think we need to move beyond that.
But also allow me to also defend the investors. You see, an investor is driven by profit, and even me as an investor, I don't think I can be able to go and invest in a place whereby my profit is a little bit, it's still uncertain. And because of that, most of the investors will tend to run away from Northeastern and come to Nairobi. But I believe in the capacity of the leaders in trying to empower their own people. As I've said, if you look at Northeastern, let me give for example about the camel. They get camel milk because there are a lot of camels. What value addition can you add to this camel milk and make it in demand in the rest of the country, or even export it? Can you come up with, like, sometimes you create yogurt from dairy milk? What can you be able to do? What can you be able to do when, in terms of leather, they have cattle? What can you be able to bring within the county to make sure that probably the skin and the hides can be converted into ready-made products? This is how now you empower. The moment that you begin to build a foundation, the investors now begin to stream in. So for me, it's more about empowering the people of Northeastern. Then once you begin to empower them, the investors themselves begin to come on board
automatically. Yeah, sure. Why export? Why take the milk and the meat or the skin from Northeastern to Nairobi for the processing and all those things? Why can't we take the factory from Nairobi to Northeastern?
Exactly.
So that when it comes direct from the farm, it gets to the company, and automatically, I as an accountant will go there to initiate an auditing firm. Automatically, I employ 2-3 people from there. Another person who is selling a different product that is matching with whatever the company is providing will go there. Then the place is being commercialized in a good way. The way you are talking about Galana project. Who are benefiting from this project? Yes, the government is changed, but who are benefiting? It's not citizens who are planting there. Who are benefiting from that? When you are crying about food, yet the food is being spoiled. It is spoiling in the stores. Why is government holding? Why are these people in the government holding the food to wait the price to go up so that they can sell to the normal citizen at a higher price? Why are these things happening? The government and its people have the advantage of capital. That's the secret. So the normal investor doesn't have an advantage of capital. I can plant my maize and sell it because I don't have the capacity to reach those great investors. And the government will tell me, sell me your maize. And I remember there's a time when the maize was not in the country, and you heard the government. In fact, even President himself came out and said, "You people that are holding the maize, please release, sell the maize to the government so that we can do what we can pay you." And now, if the government itself wants people to sell for them, why should these people sell direct? Yeah, let us have a very collateral system whereby these things are going in a transparent way, so that someone should not benefit from the pain and suffering of an investor who is trying to make ends meet from whatever they are producing. From there, tutakuwa mbele. But for now, tumeanzia phase 4, Singapore alianzia phase 1. And when you're talking about leaders, the leaders in Singapore, I think it is in phase 2. Having visionary leaders, and this starts where? When these leaders are being shortlisted to go where? To vie. Someone comes with a lot of money. Of course, this person has already advantage of capital. Even if there's a honest person with a budget of 1 million and there's a corrupt man with a budget of 300 million, whom do you think is capable of winning? The person with 300 million has already at least 20% of the winning that election compared to the other person. So it starts with the electoral board to make sure that these people that are being shortlisted to go and vie are people who are visionary.
Me, so far, I cannot bet on Kenyans.
So we cannot.
I can't really. I can't really because
so we'll continue to build Singapore in our mind. Then, if it's that way. By the way, yeah. Now that's the problem.
He has really reminded me of the by-elections, and I don't know what we really want. I don't know whether we want it. There is something that we want in our minds, but in the actual sense, I don't know whether we want it.
We are not ready to pay the price for it.
Yes, we are not ready.
We are still stuck in comfort, and you see. I don't want to agree with President Ruto, but here I think I need to agree with him, is that for development to happen, for us to be able to get to that first world country, we need to leave mediocrity behind. I think the problem with Kenyans is that we want to still stay in the comfort. And of course, sometimes it's not easy because this is a path that we've not walked before. So sometimes you are a bit pessimistic because you don't know where the path leads. But I think the ignorance that we are witnessing with our people, and also not just the ignorance, but also the lack of the will to do something. Like for instance, with the youth, whereby you just stay at home, you would rather watch video game and not go and vote. And yet someone that is 105 years, they are being willed to go and vote. You see? So there is lack of willingness by actually the generation that needs to care. So I think basically that ignorance and lack of willingness by the people is something that we will keep paying a price for. Yes,
there's something that you touch about sacrifice. I think we really lack the sacrifice to get us to where we really want to go, because I'm just imagining the 500 shillings that somebody is just being given, bribed to voting the wrong leader. That 500 shilling, if I may just ask Kenyans, that 500 ulikula siku ngapi? No. By the way, that is the question. Like, umeikula siku ngapi?
Even not a day.
Because that is the honest question that people really need to ask themselves. Like, when you're there and accepting bribe, you'd rather don't take that bribe, because of course it will not take even for a week. At the end of it will not take you for a week. But if you refuse and getting the right leader, he will take you some miles ahead of where you're really going.
And you've been talking, and I've been reflecting, and it has just reminded me something I was reflecting with some of my friends. I think the sacrifice, the good leaders, the vision, I think it has to be worked on, starting from a foundation. And I think the foundation is patriotism. And when you speak about patriotism, you're speaking about the sense of belonging to this country. I think if Kenyans could just have the love for this country, and the love, you cannot love this country just all of a sudden. Those days when you used to have 844, there used to be something called loyalty pledge. We used to sing the national anthem. I don't know if those things still continue. I think generally there is low patriotism in the Kenyan population, especially among the youth, among the young people. You'd find somebody is willing to do anything, even we are willing to engage in any kind of transaction for us to get rich. And it has come to be in this manner because we are seeing our elder generation, some of them, especially the most successful, it's not because of merit or because they are very clever. You find very clever people, very good people who are in business, and they are not able to bribe somebody maybe at KRA or at whatever ministry to get a tender or to bypass some taxes. They remain where they are. And people who are easy to get out money to cut corners, they're the most successful. They get very good jobs in government. They are PSS, they are CSS, they are heads of parastatal. So it really discourages the patriotic nature of the young people, who are the majority. And when now they say, let us go and register, you'll find only 300,000 young people going to register. I think the older folks, those who are above 70, are more patriotic. That is why they are not giving up on this country. They would still find them being willed, trying to get out and vote. And most of the time you'll find they vote to protect what they what they to protect the gains. The young people and the fairly 45, those who are not economically endowed, ukiangalia wenye wanachukua pesa sana ni vijana. Yes, you won't find. I've gone into rallies and immediately the rally ends, the politician says mpange laini ya vijana ni refu sana. Ya wazee, it's usually the shortest. Some of the wazee, they finish listening to the rally and they go home.
And they go home, yes. So I think we really have a lot of work. If we really want to get to Singapore like our dream is, we really need to do a lot of sacrifice, a lot of listening, a lot of researching, a lot of reading and so forth. Well, kwa hii barabara kwenda Singapore pia nimeona
Snaro.
Nyambamba sana. Ile ni nyambamba sana. Tunafinyana hapo katikati, but lazima tutafika kule. Well, I'm also looking at maybe some of the structures that the capital structures that the government is really putting in place, like the roads. Talking of industrialization and talking about the roads, of course. I think the roads also up to northeastern region are also going to open up things. I think especially in terms of trade and so forth, I think it's also gonna work for that. But again, now as a government, these counties, I know these capital assets are quite expensive. Like when you talk of we want to harness water, from the rainfall, I think that is not a 1 shilling thing. It's a millions of cash. We are talking of a lot of funds that are really required, and that is the reason now we need the input of the national government to support these counties. Yes, maybe some of them, they have those ideas, but they are not able to put them into practice because, I mean, they don't have the capital, because these capital, I mean, they are massive.
They're massive, yeah. And maybe this is I have been criticizing on what the government have been doing, but maybe for the first time, let me say the idea of Kenya Kwanza government, when they were talking about in the finance bill, when they are talking about let it be an equal share to these counties. I think it was a good idea. This is a one nation. The fact that Nairobi is giving in more revenue than Marsabit or than Wajir, why should we continue putting more in Nairobi? Then we are trying to forget them, that we are giving in accordance to the percentage. So I think that's another thing.
Well, I think they talked of one shilling.
Yeah.
One vote.
One man, 1 shilling.
One man, 1 shilling. One man, one vote, 1 shilling. Right?
Yeah.
Such a thing. But I feel like the equalization fund, that marginalization, that fund to equalize these people. Mimi nadhani kwamba wanahitaji waongezwe.
Lakini hiyo fund haifanyi kazi. Hiyo fund inaenda kwa mfuko za watu. So because now that's why we talk about the system. If you hear them talking, they protect about the system, because system will put in a place whereby they confine you.
Thank you. I think we are done with that. As we come into the next hour, we will be looking at something else. But for now,
it's 9 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
His Excellency the President has directed that we meet within the next 1, maximum 2 days as the national disaster preparedness infrastructure of the country, which brings together the two levels of government and other stakeholders, and therefore in the next 24 hours we'll be issuing a comprehensive statement on the mitigation and response measures that we are taking to make sure that no Kenyan sleeps without food.
The Commission documented 57 violations on the right to life. These include the killing of a human rights defender, one Richard Otieno in Molo. There was a question on the number of deaths in the by-election, and we've documented 3. So 2 of them were from Kasipul, Kabondo, during the by-elections. And then there was one there was a 70-year-old in a stampede in Kabuchai. So those are the 3 deaths that we've been able to document. 2 in Kasipul and 1 in Kabuchai.
The Commission monitored these by-elections, and they were kept out of 2 tallying centers, Chicago Primary School in Mbeere North and Mumboni Northward. They were kept out of those tallying centers, and therefore we cannot make a decision on whether the elections were free and fair because we were denied entry.
Kenya, we need to cooperate. We need to work together as critical players and actors who are given responsibility, whether you are an observer, whether you're in security, whether you're a political party, an independent candidate, whether you're in the media, you have a role. And therefore, that is the context within which we have invited you here today to share with you what we thought worked and what did not work, and therefore what can be done. That is because we as the new IBC, we are committed to ensuring that the democracy of Kenya is resilient and is strengthened. And therefore we remain committed to transparency, accountability, and upholding the sovereign will of the Kenyan people.
An increase in violation of regulatory requirement, particularly relating to illegal water abstraction and the failure to obtain or comply with the water use permit. You see, people are taking now this thing lightly, but the reality here is WRA is a regulator, and what we are implementing is an act of parliament and also an act of regulation 2025.
So what we are saying here as WRA, please let us be compliant. We have our permitting system in place. Remember, the water resource in this country is not enough, and even the rest of the world. If we don't take care of the resources that we have, we must conserve. We must conserve where we get our water. And as WRA, we also have operations and maintenance. For you to get that water, there must be some expenses that we incur. And we are simply asking Kenyans.
This study, as you are taken through, demonstrates how clean energy is not merely a climate issue, but a gender and equality issue affecting household health, safety, economic opportunities, and environmental justice.
One big barrier to access to quality services is assistive devices for every person's ability.
See that we have wealth underground in our country, and then we continue to procrastinate. The way we've always been saying, we are so wealthy, yet so poor. So during our time, I want to assure the people of this country, we will unlock this space of mining. Kuja leo, if you have the capacity kuchimba 1 kilometer to find that resource huko chini, kuja leo, the government will support you. You just need to explain to us how you're going to do it, and you have the resources.
Sisi kama viongozi wa Kakamega
Kwanza kabisa tunaunga mradi huu kwa sababu utakuja kufaidi watu wote wa Kakamega, wakiwemo pia wale ambao wanamiliki ardhi zetu. Na tumekubaliana ya kwamba mradi huu utafanikishwa kupitia kwa sheria ambayo iko, na pia tutakuwa tunawasiliana kila wakati kwa shughuli ya kuhakikisha kwamba mradi huu umefaidi wale wote ambao wanahusika, washikadau wote wakiwemo wenye mashamba, county government, serikali na pia mweke.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership. Economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks. These are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters: the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
And the conversations here really matter. This is the Generation Report right here on Radio Generation, 88.8 in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa, Radio Gen KE. That is on our social media platforms, that is X, Insta, Facebook, and also on our YouTube. If you want to follow this conversation through our online platform, please do so. rgk.co.ke will help you get into this conversation. Remember, it is not only listening, it is also viewing, because it is audio visual, and we are doing this because we really want to shape opinions in our country. We really want to inform decision making. We really want to enlighten each other, and we really want to make sure that we update you on the big stories that happened in the course of the week, just in case you missed, or just in case you listened but you didn't get whatever was being communicated. This is the place, this is the show to listen to. Tonight I am joined by one Matthew Samuel, and also by Dr. Alfred Makoti and Lena Mati. They are here to ensure that the conversation remains great as usual. So we have touched on so many big news that happened this week, and we are still continuing with the conversation because it really matters. So this week we had a Mashujaa Day.
No.
Not sorry, not Mashujaa Day, Jamhuri Day. Sorry, I don't know why Mashujaa is always in my. But when you look at these two events, actually, I usually look at them like they are just more or less the same.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, you look at whatever we celebrate, you look at what really happens. The design, they are almost the same, yes. But it is Jamhuri Day. So these Jamhuri Day celebrations were done at Nyayo National Stadium, and I'm going to start with this. There was the issue of the jet panic, Jana. So I don't know. Did you attend the the Jamhuri Day?
No, I did not attend, though I observed it from my television.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Makotsi?
No, I didn't.
Yes, I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Tell us what happened.
So maybe I can say is first, let me start by saying the government has really tried in one or the other to make sure that there's that inclusive when they are inviting this organization, these people,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing in those people to make sure that they attend the government gatherings. That's number one. But what happened at that place is those jets or the aeroplane, I don't know what the pilots had eaten, but they were flying at a very low place. So I really think they should consider a lot of things. First, those people that are attending, then the area where they are, because There were commercial places, residents at the same time. You don't know people that are attending. Mtu anaugua ugonjwa gani, so you can't do that. And it was very, very much a lot of panic. Unlike the other days, you see them flying very, very high. This time round, you could see it actually. Very, very. You could see it.
You could see the pilot inside.
You can't see the pilot, but in fact, for the helicopters, you could see the pilot because they were very low. The one that had with the Kenya flag. The jet itself, the one in fact that made President Ruto almost to fall down, it was rotating. Just you can see it, the way it is rotating and doing its thing. So, yeah, it was one of the things. So I don't know why the pilot did that.
Let's hear what they said about the jet panic.
So far I don't think there's no damages regarding for health-wise injuries or anything, but it costs people a lot to repair the glasses and so on because the jets flew lower than expected. We hope our government considers the damages and compensates us for what happened. People were frightened instead of them being happy and celebrating today as a public holiday.
Yeah, well, it might sound funny, but it led to distraction, to losses. Now the government is supposed now to compensate the people who are affected. Like if it is a sound that is really shattering glasses, it's anyway. Let's continue. Well, let's look at the main thing.
But on the same note. Every time I hear or I see those jets, what comes as well yesterday, it occurred to me, what comes into my mind is, if we are a middle income economy or a third world, we must be having very old version of those jets and able to shatter glasses flying that low.
Yes.
What is happening in Syria? What is happening in Israel and Gaza? And what are those children feeling? Because it means that a 1-year-old must be feeling 10 times the impact if he's in Gaza or in those places where we see on TV that buildings are destroyed by a single missile. So I think it should really open us up in terms of our commitment to humanity in those areas that are worst affected by these kinds of, because these are weapons.
Sure.
Actually, if it can pass Nyayo Stadium at an angle that we cannot see, it means if it lands, there's so much damage.
Yes.
Yes. That is what comes into my mind every time I hear people complaining about this was too low, this was too loud. Yes.
Well, maybe what was your take home from the Jamhuri Day celebrations? Maybe we can just highlight that because, like she said she hasn't seen anything new in these celebrations. She's saying that they are year in year out just same thing. Yeah, so because she said that the president will just come in and tell us what he has launched, what he's planning to do, and that is it. But maybe what is your take home from the yesterday's celebrations?
Yesterday when most of the leaders were speaking, from the governor, the deputy president, the president, they were really appreciative of all the champions of independence, the people that fought for the independence of our country. And I went further and looked at our first manifesto, the KANU manifesto, and the KANU manifesto was driven by the need to get and maintain independence. And I remember addressing a particular crowd along Thika Road, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta said that if you don't have self-rule, we cannot be able to determine our rights. We cannot be able to determine whatever it is that we want. And by that, he was trying to say that the aspect that we don't have that independence makes us not to be able to determine the kind of healthcare system that we want, not be able to determine the kind of economic development that we want. We cannot be able to determine the kind of education system that we want. But for us to be able to determine all that on our own capacity, we first need what? We first need emancipation from the colonialists, who are now the whites. At that particular moment, the whites and the colonialists were our major problems.
Sure.
But now, 60 years later, the white man has left, but an internal enemy has risen up.
Who is our enemy?
And this internal enemy is my brother and my sister. It is no longer the white man that used to exist in 1960s. Now, when I'm looking at the progress, while I appreciate what we have done, and I appreciate all the people that fought for the independence that we have as a country, I'm also wondering, what steps have we taken to move beyond what they have done? Have we deteriorated, or have we gone further and built on what they have? And one of the things, in as much as we are trying to measure our progress with regards to 1963, that cannot only be the yardstick that we are using to measure our progress. Remember, we are in different times, we are in different dispensations, and the circumstances are completely different. So when we talk about the progress that we have made right now, we are looking at it in terms of our bold and progressive constitution. Has there been adherence to the constitutional values that we have? Has there been adherence to the rule of law? Has there been protection of the human rights? Have we worked towards the economic development that we have set in place? Those are the things that we are using to measure the progress. Because I have seen a challenge whereby we are saying, you know what, in 1963 we were here, we have made major progress. That's okay. In fact, as a human being, we cannot. Sometimes when you look back and say that when I was 18, this is what I used to do. But you cannot just measure your progress when you are young. You have to measure your progress. If you are 30, you have to look at your progress as a 30-year-old person. Are you in the same category, or when you're looking at the circumstances and other 30-year-olds, do you think that your progress really matches to that kind of environment? You cannot say that, when I was 18, I used to sneak out from the house. Now that I'm 30, I no longer sneak out. You are 30 years, so you need to be accountable. You need to be responsible. It's the same thing as a country. And so I'm looking at the progress, and I'm looking at the progress right now in respect to the constitutional progress that we have made, thanks to the people that fought for our independence. And when I look at it, I think we are still deficient. We have things to do with human rights. We need to look at that. We are still not where we want. The president has been talking about the national economic freedom. So this stage is more of economic freedom, more than political freedom that we sought 60 years ago. So when I'm looking at the basis looking at this baseline, the scorecard, I still feel like we are deficient. I appreciate the progress that we have made as a country 60 years later, but I still feel like, looking at the circumstances whereby we are more empowered as a country, we have more resources compared to this particular moment, we are more learned as a country, we are still falling short of the expectations that I would want as me as a Kenyan citizen. Yes.
You got me imagining that, thinking that right now as we speak, we were fighting the Muzungu.
Yes.
Right? We were fighting the Muzungu rule.
Yes.
Right now we got other enemies on our way in the 62 years. We got other enemies. The enemy, corruption.
Yes.
Because corruption then wasn't an issue, because we were not the ones who were ruling ourselves. So now that we are ruling ourselves now, other enemies
have
cropped in.
Yes.
Wakaingia pale. We are talking of tribalism. We are talking of such things like repression. We are talking of such issues like corruption. So now, like she's saying, now you need to think now as a 62-year person.
Yes.
We are comparing ourselves with other governments, other countries who are who attained that self-rule like us 62 years ago. Where are they right now?
And you see, Tricia, the thing is that right now, that particular moment we were toddlers. So there are things that we could have exempted ourselves from, because we were still figuring things out. Things like corruption, we were still figuring it out. How do we deal with these? But right now, whereby we have developed, we have a judicial system, we have a way of governance. I mean, the way we measure our progress ought to be really, really high.
The toddler corruption grew together with us.
It has now
an adult. Okay, let's see. Matthew, give us your submission around that.
Yes, Patricia, what I came to realize when she was talking, when you are talking, and I think Dr. will be still escalating on the same. Not early. I think last 2 weeks we were having a Pan-Africanism conference in Tanzania, in Arusha actually. So one of the things that I was handling or I was tackling is neocolonialism. This is a system whereby everything is now put in a way that it suppresses people who are living in the same nation. And the people who are conducting neocolonialism currently are now the system or our own leaders. When president is talking about economic freedom, I agree with the president 100%. But he is talking about it and he only has vision about it. But the problem is who is going to help in implementing all these things, because the implementation of economic freedom is not going to come from heaven, or is not going to be bought from somewhere and brought in Kenya so that everyone is economic free. It is the structures and the system that are going to be put in place, attracting more investors, bringing the structure of education whereby the people who are going to be nurtured are not only gaining the economic part of it, but at the same time are being empowered with the skills and the ability to give the input to the nation on its own. But now see what is happening currently. The CBC that we were given, what is the value? They told us this is whereby children will start knowing who they are at a tender age. Yes, well and good. After knowing who they are, what is the environment that is being put in place for these people to venture whatever they understand about themselves into the market space? Now that's one of the problem that we are having as a nation. The IT, how many IT labs that the government has shuttered for the people who are very much passionate about IT things? None. So the children anakujua about IT and all those things, yes, they have understood themselves, but where are the structures and the values? What about the business people? What about the industries? In Western, we are talking about the shattering sugar industry like Mumia Sugar, which has been there. It was beneficial when we were growing up. I was educated by the money from Mumia Sugar because my father was working there. But look currently where Mumia Sugar is. It is only packaging sugar. It is not processing sugar. And the government should not lie to us that Mumia Sugar is processing sugar. It only buys sugar, imports sugar from Mexico, packages it and sells it to its citizen. There's nothing else that we are talking about. So when I was trying, even if I was invited at that place, the only thing that entertained me is the jet, when it made everyone to be fair. But when we are talking about the agendas, we are still in old Mzungu version. In fact, Mzungu was even better. Sometimes we feel that Mzungu was better. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because
cannot be better.
What was not? You see why I said sometimes we feel. We reach to the level where we feel. I remember one of the apartheid activists said, give an African the gun, they will kill themselves. Give an African the power, they will use those power to oppress those who are weak. Yeah, give an African the mandate to organize their own government. They will go and borrow the constitution from another nation and come and try to implement it and want it to work the way it is working outside there. That's the problem with what we were given. It's like we took what we wanted, those people who were there tried to gain what they could gain, then later on left the government to the people who are strong to lead the nation. Now it is the survival for the fittest.
Thank you for your submission. Let's hear Daktari.
I think my take home, apart from the jets, I think we are over 60 years after our independence. Independence is something that should be taken very seriously. You can imagine countries that are fighting to control themselves right now, like Palestine, like we're talking about Ukraine. There are still people who are struggling to be fully independent, fully Taiwan, fully recognized. So it really speaks to what we are as a nation, not even as a country, as one people. And it should go beyond talk. It should go beyond speeches. If you look at the Chinese march to commemorate their independence, when the Red Army won, I think it was in 1949, thereabout, you could see, you could visualize more than hearing. You could visualize the country's progress in terms of their military capability of defending themselves as a country, and how much they have invested in their military. And when you talk about investing in their military, it means they have also invested in their economy, in their health. So yesterday, I think it could be the first time we could move away from very long speeches and actually showcase what we have invested as a country in the last 60 years. What is the difference between the first Jamhuri Day and the 63rd or the 62nd Jamhuri Day that was held yesterday? There's not much difference. The first, I think Jomo Kenyatta was talking about disease, poverty, and
ignorance.
Ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the same issues we are talking about right now. I think, and that now calls us into order and reminds us that we should take our independence seriously, because other countries are taking their independence very seriously. As he has just said, Singapore, right from the beginning, it took off. China, right from the beginning, you can imagine the level China is going the next 10 years. There could be the same power with the US. What about Kenya? Other people are making strides in ensuring that they have the best out of their citizens. We are taking some of our best to go and work in some of these countries as a formal agreement. Some of the labor agreements are taking one of the best brains out of this country to go and empower or develop countries that are already developed. Leave alone the formal. There are even other informal. There are countries you don't have a labor agreement with, and very best engineers, best lawyers are going to work in those countries. What are we doing to harness the bright minds we have in Kenya here? So the take home, of course, Ruto talked about a continuation of Singapore building roads, building a super highway from Thika to Museum Hill. I think it should move beyond the talk. It should move to how many people have we pulled out of poverty. We just had a release of an Oxfam report saying that 1%.
125 Kenyans.
Yes. So when you look at those reports, sometimes you imagine, and you can clearly see it. When you're going home, you'll see somebody with a brand new Range Rover, and you'll see another person being rained on in the same street. What does it speak to? It speaks to a high level of inequality. It means at some point our systems are not working so well. Yes. And if the same situation continues the same way, I think we won't be celebrating our independence. A country like South Sudan, Sudan independence ilipita hawaku celebrate because the 1% in Sudan kept on empowering themselves to a point that they are now using the 1% are being used to fight each other, the two generals. So if the situation remains the same, I don't think we should we can have this Jamhuri in the next, like in 2024. If whatever happened was left to happen, that means in 2025 we could not be celebrating. It calls for a sudden shift of us realizing that we, the citizens, and we, the leaders, share the same country, and we should do all that it takes to make sure that everybody feels part of this country.
Well, you put it rightly. I think the first step, like he's saying, us wanting to start at stage 4. Yet there is stage 1 whereby the stage 1 is whereby we are talking of bridging that gap. Yeah, narrowing that gap between that inequality between that having these a few Kenyans having billions of money and then a majority being down. There is a very big gap inside there. Apo katikati. Yes. A very big gap which really needs to be filled fast.
And it speaks to the kinds of even jobs people are willing to go out of this country to do. I don't see why we should go so low that somebody gets a job ya kwenda kuwa house help in the Middle East, where every day we have a report that somebody has died or somebody is being mistreated and people are still willing to go. It means they are so desperate in their own country.
I think the call to the government and especially to our President William Ruto, even as we journey towards Singapore, please look at the gap. The gap between the rich and the poor. It's quite big, it's quite alarming. Otherwise, you'll get that a section, the 1% will arrive in Singapore, while the 99% will be still stuck here in the country.
They will not arrive in Singapore. I was just imagining when you're talking about the drought, if the president and the whole government could have taken this speech about Singapore and about roads, Mau Summit, Rironi, Thika Highway, and they put it in Garissa or Wajir or that area that is experiencing the drought, would those people relate? They will not relate. Even when he goes there, he cannot say Singapore. He cannot say housing. He cannot say infrastructure fund.
Sure.
He cannot say that talk. That is the talk the president should be talking should relate to all levels of people in this country. Yes. If it only speaks to a certain region, it means we are not a country.
Mimi kwanza acha nikwambie, when I'm hungry, we cannot have a conversation.
And that is the
kama niko njaa, you cannot tell me to accompany. Where are we going really? Where are we going?
You know, stomach speaks louder than brain.
True.
Because that's why even our politicians mastered the art of doing what? Of putting of confining that system, whereby when they give money, they make sure you live in poverty, so that when they come with the money, you will take it. You won't refuse, and it's very much easy to compromise sometimes
to convince a hungry person.
Because you can check the low class in Kenya, it is at 77%. When you're talking about middle class, it's 24.1%, and now the first class, those who are well, at 1%, and majority of them are old money, and some of the investors who have come from other countries into Kenya. Then some of them who have tried wamejaribu hapa na pale, they are at middle class at 24.1%, and now we are talking about 77% of Kenyans who are living at a red line poverty level. This is so alarming. Then when you are coming to tell us about Rironi, you are coming to tell us about Barabara, three-way or what, people won't relate the way Dr. has said. No one will take it, in fact, whatever you're saying. And that's why you get, they are building the roads, wanaweka pale nini the barriers in the morning. You get the barriers are not there. It's not the citizens that are taking those barriers. In fact, it are those people who put the barriers. They come at night to take the barriers because of the all corrupt system that is already in place. That's how we are living.
Well, quite important.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation.
Other Kenyans gather in festivity, we gather in grief. Our children were maimed, tortured, disappeared and killed while bravely advancing the very ideals upon which this day was founded.
Hakuna mali haipo ametusaidia. Tunazika mandugu zetu, tunazika masista zetu, tunazika makoli zetu, baba zetu, kaka zetu, ndugu wadogo wetu. Hakuna mali wasiometusaidia.
Presha imenishika na sikukuwa nayo. In fact ni shida sana kwangu. Hata natamani tu nikufe.
Sasa ni 1 year na nusu tangu aange.
The commission documented 57 violations on the right to life. These include the killing of a human rights defender, one Richard Otieno in Molo. There was a question on the number of deaths in the by-election, and we've documented 3. So 2 of them were from Kasipul, Kabondo, during the by-elections. And then there was one there was a 70-year-old in a stampede in Kabuchai. So those are the 3 deaths that we've been able to document. 2 in Kasipul and 1 in Kabuchai.
The commission monitored these by-elections and they were kept out of 2 tallying centers, Chicago Primary School in Bere North and Mumboni Northward. They were kept out of those tallying centers and therefore we cannot make a decision on whether the elections were free and fair because we were denied entry.
Clear that there was a collaboration between the Kenyan government and the Ugandan government in our abduction from the moment we crossed the border at Busia and the time we were abducted in Kampala. The manner in which we were abducted was in a similar fashion as how I was abducted last year in 2024. They tracked us using the mobile phones and for this we need to call out the telephone companies like Safaricom that are collaborating with the securities agents because these are the enablers of these abductions. Without the telephone companies, there is no way they can be able to track the movements. So as we are dealing with the state repression, let us also deal with the enablers of the state repression. I just want to say that at this moment in time, I think it's about time that the people of East Africa came together as a way of insulating ourselves against bad governance. So what is happening in Tanzania as citizens of East Africa, we must take a very keen, we have to be very keen on what is happening in.
Well, that's Bob Jagi, and of course I've played other clips behind there of the parents of the Gen Zs who lost their lives, and that was their take. I mean, during the Jamhuri Day celebrations, they said, I mean, what do we celebrate? So, like you are saying, it reached a time when now we're gonna lose the meaning of these celebrations that we are talking about, like Jamhuri Day. We are talking of we were given that self rule. So now we are expecting that now that we are ruling ourselves, we know our problems better than Muzungu. Muzungu never know because first of all our color is different. they don't know when we are hit by the sun, like we feel different. We don't feel the same. Yeah. So those are that is just an example of the differences that we got. So a black person understands you better. Understands you. Your neighbor, a leader from your region understands you better. So we are expecting that they understand our challenges and they are able to get a solution to our challenges. So that is that. I don't want us to get into that. I just want us to touch on something about what Bob Jagi has said as we cross over to Uganda, whereby the police there said that they've started investigations into whoever tortured those Kenyans who are across in that country. So the Ugandan government police, they say they're investigating. Now, if it calls to discipline those police officers, they will do so. But Bob Jagi has said many things. I talked of repression, the enablers of repression, the same manner in which like he was abducted, and that really speaks a lot. I don't know, what are your submissions? Just 1 minute each, because we really need to finish up whatever we have.
I was actually attending some event that was organized by the Kenyan National Human Rights Commission together with Frederick Norman Foundation. And one of the things that I learned from that, because they were launching a report on the human rights violations, one of the things that I was able to get was that the key guardians of human rights are actually the key violators of those human rights. So when you talk about the institutions that have been mandated to protect against the violation of human rights, they're actually the ones that are contributing to that violation. And so these one, they were able, they came up and said that because of that, it is now the work of the citizens for us to be able to stand up for ourselves. Then I began to ask myself, there is what we call the social contract theory. The social contract theory demands that I cede some of my rights to you as government, and then in exchange you will protect me. Because if we all have the rights to protect ourselves, we are actually going to fight with ourselves. So at the end of the day, we will not have achieved anything. That is why now the legitimacy of governance comes into play. That's why we have now institutions that are fully funded by taxes of the Kenyans to be able to protect us. But if those same institutions that are funded and they have been given the ability to protect us are the same ones that are harming us, we become very vulnerable. You see, and now the aspect of Safaricom, I'm a lawyer, but I also don't want to be too extreme.
No, actually, we don't want to mention companies.
You don't want to mention companies.
Yes, institutions here, yes.
But I really acknowledge that we have enablers, and those are the ones that are giving or providing a conducive environment for the actual perpetrators to come in and violate, the rights of these human rights defenders. I think the issue of human rights is really a very critical thing, and it's always triggered. Anytime that people are fighting for their rights, there is always that trigger of human rights. So I don't know what you're going to do, because I cannot even talk about strengthening of institutions when these particular institutions are not even taking any action towards defending me. So I'm now left in a state of limbo. I'm like, what should I do? Do I protect myself? What should I do?
And you can't protect yourself.
And I cannot also be able to fully protect myself. So I am in a state of limbo. Probably my brothers will enlighten me on what really needs, what kind of framework needs to come into play.
I think what's really needs to be done is people to take responsibility in terms of if a gun has been used, a government gun has been used to kill somebody. I don't see why that police officer should continue being a police officer as an individual. Yes, not really
institution.
Yes, as an institution. Yes, and it should really come out to individual prosecution to those who violate human rights. If your data was disclosed and it was used to track you down, to harm you, it should go down to that officer in whichever company who gave out your location without your consent, and individual prosecution to take responsibility, to take course. Yes. So I think it really boils down now to our judiciary, because we have a lot of human rights defenders who are doing everything possible to protect Kenyans or to protect these rights. It is the judiciary to ensure that they dispense these cases expeditiously, so that it can deter other policemen, other enablers of human rights violation, and there should be a heavy fine. I don't see why compensation of the young people who lost their lives in the Gen Z protests has not been done. We have the Kenya Human Rights Commission, we have Treasury, we have the whole institution of government running. I don't see why we need a commission or something, I don't know what they call it, to investigate and document whether and when we have even in a span of 1 week, Kenya Human Rights was able to document that 57 Kenyans lost their lives. Those people should have been compensated in this financial year. Yes. So I think we should take more responsibility as Kenyans, and it is the judiciary to guide this process. If today a judge says that government pay this guy, compensate, I don't think government would go against that ruling.
So you feel like the judiciary is really failing Kenyans?
No, we should just take maybe those cases have not reached the judiciary.
You see, Tricia, before, when we talk about judiciary and everything that comes with judgment in terms of compensation, number one, for you to be compensated, we first now need to determine the liability. To what extent was the government liable? Yes. Then once you have gotten the liability, you can now determine the compensation, now what we call the damages. So in as much as probably I would want the compensation, and I think there was a ruling that has been given lately by the High Court with regards to now the mandate of Kenya National Human Rights Commission, because they were the task force that had been formed to compensate was found to be unconstitutional, and the same was given to the Kenya National Human Rights Commission. So I believe that in as much as we are talking about compensation, there first needs to be there's a legal path to that. We first need to determine liability and all those kind of things, though I agree with him fully that there needs to be compensation of victims of human rights. Yes,
violations. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe because I don't want to take much time, Lena and the Wakili and Daktari, you have just said it all. Anything called independent, run away from it. In Kenya, run away from it. Anything called this is corruption, all those things, these are the same institutions.
Corruption-free zone.
No, nothing like corruption-free zone. This is called now independence to do what human rights and what. There's no need. Why bring all these things? These things are there. The videos, the footage, everything is there. So why should we take long time? You know, they always say, and Wakil will agree with me, justice delayed is justice denied. So why wait till all that time and everything that you already have? So me, I don't think if I agree with anything about forming all those things. What I believe and I understand, and I really urge each and every individual, let this human rights organization be well funded and just try to do their work the way they used to do. We used to fill them from between 2004 to 2014. We used to feel indeed this organization are there. So the moment they can come back to where they were and try to avoid being lured easily by the politician and this heavy money, then we are good to go. But what I can urge each and every individual, your safety starts with you first. So there's no need to leave kujiachilia, putting in mind that human right, hakuna kitu kama human right itakutetea. So it's better you take care of yourself first before now we come on the something to do with human rights. Yeah.
Thank you.
Going to more than 4,000 deaths, thousands injured, and thousands more dragged before courts on trumped-up charges. Families have been denied the dignity of burial, bodies have been disappeared, hospitals have been raided, medical workers are being threatened or abducted for treating the wounded. The targeting of religious orders, including allegations of rape and brutal intimidation, has deepened national trauma.
The establishment of lopsided government-controlled commission into violence that is still going on is not an act of accountability. It is the architecture of a cover-up. There is no commitment to independence, impartiality, or truth-telling. Suluhu has already predetermined its findings by branding peaceful mobilization as manufactured unrest and framing citizens as threats to national security.
Kwa jirani. Kule kwa
moto hujazimika kwa jirani.
Kule kwa jirani kule.
Wapepetwa.
Okay. Yeah, Chama, the main opposition party has called on for a transitional government with the support of also the human rights defenders also from our country. You've heard Kivutha Kibwana, a professor, currently now a senior counsel. Him and other human rights defenders also talking about Tanzania and what we witnessed on the was it 23rd of October? I mean, when were the elections?
5th October.
No, it can't be 5th.
25th.
Oh,
25th.
Yeah, on the I mean whatever we witnessed after their elections and after that. So I don't know what are your submissions, because up to today with the president, they are feeling that the demonstrations were not really done by Tanzanians, that there were forces from outside. The road and the journey to justice also becomes hard. So I don't know what are your submissions.
Maybe I should start. I am feeling so much about the Kenyans who are in Tanzania. I am very sure there are Kenyans in Tanzanian jail, or Kenyans who are either they say buried or they're in morgues in Tanzania. And I'm feeling so bad because the government is not coming out to ask for accountability of those Kenyans who were found in that fracas. Not all of them, or even, let me say, not all of them are in that election scenario, because there's nothing a Kenyan will benefit when Samia or Tini Lisu is in power, in terms of they're just there to do business. Whoever is in power is in control.
Yes. They
would even wish that Tanzania remains peaceful so that they're doing business. And just to summarize it, in the first, after the elections, 2 weeks in a marathon, there was a teacher who was teaching in some school in Arusha, and he died, and that story has been swept under the carpet. I don't know why. I don't know if they toned down the family, because I know our media is very sensitive, and if that body was found and brought to Kenya, that news could have been aired. But it really speaks of where did this story end, and what is the fate of Kenyans who are either alive or dead in Tanzania. If they are dead, why can't they give us our Kenyan bodies to be given proper send-off? If they are alive, why can the government negotiate so that if they are capable of any criminal charges, they are prosecuted either in Tanzania or in Kenya?
Or in Kenya, yes.
Yes, but on the larger scale, I like the progress this matter has taken. I saw the last time EU was very vocal on it. US has also been very vocal on it. But I want to notice the silence of the East Africa community. Unfortunately or fortunately, the chairman of East Africa community is our president. So we have had a loud silence from this issue, and that needs to I think we can sweep it under the carpet the way we swept the election under the carpet. But you see, on 9th it has recurred. There are even activists in Tanzania were considering to demonstrate on 25th, because 9th was a national holiday just like our Jamhuri. So the government had capacity to cancel it.
Yes.
But now on Christmas Day, the government does not have capacity to tell everybody stay at home. Yes. So every time this issue is being swept under the carpet, it will always reoccur. And that is the legitimacy of Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Let's hear from Matthew.
So, yeah, it's like being sick, then you are postponing the treatment. The way Dr. has said, whatever the government of Tanzania is trying to do is trying to intimidate, those people who are feeling they are not part of the government, so that they can be forced to accept the government that is placed there, because the government is placed there. Those people who are running against Samia were the people whom Samia had funded them to run, because the main competitor were already in jail. So I think it's the same thing that he has said, unless the EAC, now East African Community. Now I'm very much happy to speak as a youth advocate of East African Community. I was there on 21st. 21st last month for a conference, and whatever is happening in Arusha is total fear. Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, people fear even talking about what happened during election times, and you can see the whole picture when people are criticizing Larry, who has been doing the covering and all of those things. So this is something that should come to our attention, because at long run it is going to affect not only Tanzania alone, but it's also going to affect its associate, and the main associate here is Kenya, Uganda, those people that are together in EAC. Yeah.
I don't know if you'll be able to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even to finish.
Actually,
if you go back, will you come back?
I had a plan to go to Tanzania. I think I cancelled.
Oh.
Yeah.
You see, Tricia, I was reading a report lately that had been released by one of the companies that does statistics, and they were saying that the number of countries for the last 20 years, the number of countries that are actually under autocracies are higher than the countries that are in democracies. The number has risen. And I went further to investigate, because even in these democracies whereby we are seeing that the numbers, the countries that have full democracies are fewer, even in those countries, it's not full democracy per se, it is what we call soft authoritarianism. And soft authoritarianism, it's not full dictatorship, but it involves using the democratic process and democratic institutions for your own benefit, such that it borders between some kind of dictatorship and democracy. That is what they call soft authoritarianism. So when I look at what is happening in Tanzania, it's something that looks like democracy, not democracy. So it falls under the category of soft authoritarianism. And you see, as I was talking about social contract theory is the one that gives legitimacy to a government, meaning that me as a person, I give my rights to the government through voting or through any kind of representative framework, such that they protect me, and me, I do certain obligations as well. Now, this social contract theory is driven majorly by consent. So if there is the consent of the people, if the people have said that it's you, it is you. But if there is no consent, then it takes away the legitimacy of the process. Now, when you're talking about legitimacy, there is what we call the procedural legitimacy and the participatory legitimacy. The procedural legitimacy is more about, was the process open? Was it fair? Was it transparent? When I look at the case of Tanzania, procedural legitimacy was not there.
Questionable.
So, exactly. So if the procedural legitimacy was not there, we cannot talk about participatory legitimacy.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Exactly. So the people of TZ have all the right to go out to protest, because the government that is there is not legitimately there. They do not bring it into being.
2 minutes.
They don't bring it
end
into
the
being.
show.
They don't bring it into being. So I feel the fact that the government is also trying to suppress the rights of the people to express themselves, especially being told that they cannot go out to the streets, is really wrong. And I think this is why most of the countries actually are preferring military takeovers as compared to democracy, because democracy is declining.
Okay, thank you for your submission. And in that, you also reminded me of Benin, whereby there was that failed coup.
Yes.
And of course, we pray for peace in these countries. So as we are ending, I just want you to give your final remark as we end in just less than 1 minute each, one of you, because time is up.
My final remark is we are in a festive season. Most of the workplaces are closing up next week. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and drive safe.
Mine, I wish each and every individual a happy life and a wealth mind. You know, when your mind is wealthy, your health will be also better. But I'll finish with a phrase from Peter Willenbotha from South Africa. He said, black people cannot rule themselves, because if you give them guns, they will shoot themselves. Give them power, they will steal all the government money. Give them independence and democracy, they will use it to promote tribalism, ethnicity, bigotry, hatred, killings, and war. So let's not get there.
Thank you. In seconds.
Mine is to just wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I don't think we'll be coming here back again until next year, but it's also a moment for us to reflect on an individual capacity and also as a nation, the gains and the losses, and look for resolutions of these problems that we're having.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming. Mine also is to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, but I'll be here still on, is it 20th? Yeah, we have our last show next Saturday. We will be summarizing everything that has happened in the course of the year. So it's going to be big. So please have a good night. Stay safe. Take care of yourself until we see each other next week. Have a good night.